lovers. And tonight, I have one of my good friends with me. I have Don with me from the Multiverse of Geekdom, and we're going to be reviewing Dogma. And just to let everybody know, Dogma came out at a time where basically everybody was hypersensitive within the Catholic Church era and stuff like that. And there's some jokes within this movie itself might rub you the wrong way and things like that. So I'm just putting out a disclaimer on there. If you do not like Dogma, if you do not like Kevin Smith movies, I totally understand not everybody's going to like everything that we do. So if you guys like Kevin Smith and you want to stick around for this Dogma review, go on ahead, stick around, and let's go on ahead. Let's get on with the show. I'm excited to have Don here. I'm excited to be able to talk about Dogma. Let's do this. Hey, Don.
Hello, sir. How are we doing tonight?
Doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you. Thank you for having me on here.
Oh, you're welcome. It's always a pleasure to have you on here. I'm enjoying us doing these segments with you. And what better way to do a 1999 film of Dogma, which is also directed by Kevin Smith and written by Kevin Smith. This movie was also released in May of 21st of 1999, and this movie also had a budget at the time of $10 million and made $44 million at the box office. And I'm just going to give a brief synopsis of what this film's about in case anybody doesn't know what this is. But it's basically about Bartleby and Loki, who are fallen angels who are eternally banished from heaven to Wisconsin for insubordination after an irritated Loki resigned as an angel of death at Bartleby's suggestion. And that's basically the synopsis of this film. But this is totally ridiculousness. When especially you have George Carlin as the priest, which I thought was really funny. This film was way ahead of its time in a sense, but also too not as ahead of its time because it's still stuff that goes on within the Catholic Church itself, but it's still funny.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. And 44 million off of, you said 10 million?
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, 99, that's not too bad.
No, for a 1999 budget, that's actually really good, considering.
Yeah, they did pretty good with this movie. That's awesome. Good for them. And the cult classic it became after that, I mean, it had to have made a lot more than that, obviously. We know that now.
Yeah, especially when we look at like VHS tapes, DVDs, stuff like that, and merchandising that way. Sure. Because that was what they were banking on because of VHS tapes and things like that to actually boost up their things. As a matter of fact, that's what helped them out with the very first Clerks movie, which happens to be the most stolen film in Blockbuster.
Oh, really? That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So that's actually pretty funny. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Totally. Yeah, no, man, it was really fun to get back there and see this movie again. I haven't seen it in a while. I am a big Kevin Smith fan. I would say either fortunately or unfortunately for me, Kevin Smith hit me at a time when I was a young stoner kid. So perfect timing to hit me. So yeah, I drank the Kool-Aid immediately, man. Just love his comedic style and everything. Yeah, absolutely.
Same here. As a matter of fact, I remember my grandmother, of all people, who's Catholic. She went on ahead, she went to Blockbuster, she rented this movie for me, not knowing the context of it. And I'm like 10 or 11. This movie's a lot deeper for a 10 or 11-year-old to actually sit through this whole entire movie.
Oh, yeah. I can't even say I would have even understood this totally when I watched it the first time. There's no way.
No. The only thing I remember was Jay and Silent Bob telling jokes. And that was like the most relatable thing because I was like, I need to see more of Jay and Silent Bob. And next thing I know, I didn't realize there was this huge universe at that time of Jay and Silent Bob stuff or anything like that. My very first introduction into Jay and Silent Bob was, of course, the Clerks animated cartoon show that they had. That was my first introduction to them.
Gotcha.
But then Dogma happened. I'm like, wait, this is actually the dudes from the cartoon. So I'm like, okay, I'm in. So, but then this is also the peak of Matt Damon. This is also the peak of Ben Affleck as well.
Yeah.
So this is pretty good. You actually have Salma Hayek in this movie. You have the list just goes on. This is basically Kevin Smith's Marvel Cinematic Universe, but Stoner edition.
Mm-hmm. Well, and they may even make a joke about this in another Kevin Smith movie, the Jay and Silent Bob movie, where Matt Damon and Ben Affleck are talking, and he's like, First, you do the award movie, then you do the friend movie or the favor movie. That's what this is. They're always, he always gets them to come back and play parts in his movies, and I think they actually enjoy it. But he's said many times. I've heard Kevin Smith say a few times that they're not quite as close as they used to be. So getting them is a little harder now than it used to be. So
right,
but
because
it was
they're
fun
big
getting
now.
them at their height. But he got them at their height, which is even more impressive, honestly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But when we actually see this happen, we actually see the angels who just wants to go home. That's all Barnaby and that's all Loki wants to do. They want to go home, but little do they know that if they go through those doors during that ceremony, it causes havoc on Earth to the point where this is destruction of Earth. And the banter between Matt Damon and Ben Affleck is just hilarious through this whole entire film.
Yeah, I mean, they have chemistry, obviously. They know each other very well. So, yeah, they work so well off each other, just being able to go back and forth. It's honestly one of my favorite scenes in the movie because I love that after Matt Damon, Loki messes with that woman, the nun, and he's like, "You've literally had a conversation with God before." He's like, "What do you get out of this?" I love that back and forth between them. It's so great.
Same here. And then Josh Carlin also bringing out Buddy Christ is also another thing that I thought was funny.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
the crucifix part is like, well, the crucifix with Jesus on the cross has been a little outdated today. So you know what we're going to do is we're going to roll out the new version.
Yeah.
So
Buddy Christ, yeah.
That was actually something that made me laugh, especially the way that they actually have him looking pretty much like the Big Lebowski in a sense.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That's exactly what it looks like. Right. I agree. I agree, man. Yeah. Now that opening scene is great because I'm a huge Carlin fan, and I mean, I think it's anybody that knows Carlin knows his views on religion. So that being said, having him as the high cardinal or priest or whatever he is of that church and doing all this, it's a funny joke. It's a funny meta joke that I really enjoyed. In this. Just because he's not scared to do it. I mean, he's not. I don't think he's ever trying to disrespect religion in any way, but he's having fun with it. I think
so too.
Yeah, but I don't think he's ever trying to be disrespectful. I don't think he has that feeling of it.
No, I think it's just him doing his job as an actor and tried to make the scene as funny as possible with stuff like that's the context I actually have with it and things like that. Right. And of course, it even says in the opening.
General, though, I don't think Kevin Smith either is ever trying to like make fun of anything or be mean spirited. It's all supposed to just be just fun. Just these are silly things to point out. It's okay to laugh at these things. Like that's pretty much what he's saying. Like, it's okay, relax. Like we're just having some fun. So
exactly, and then of course you see anyone who enters the church during the rededication festivals will receive a plenary indulgence, remitting all sins, where the banished angels to undergo the rite and then die after transmuting into human form. God would have no choice but to allow them re-entry into heaven. They are encouraged by the demon Arizel and the Sidagian triplets, 3 teenage hoodlums who serve Israel in hell, which is 3 teenagers who have hockey sticks. And then you also have the demon who just walks around with like a white Hudson Hawk suit, who just goes into people's homes and just does like a home invasion, if you think about it, and just
because he wants their AC. He wants their AC because hell's hot. That's one of the funniest jokes in the movie too. It's so quick, but it's so funny.
The little nods here and there, and the characterization of the characters is what I laugh about the most, is because of the fact that they're poking fun at their own characters, which makes it even that much funnier. Like you mentioned, the AC, and of course he's a demon, so therefore he needs AC. So therefore he's gonna want to go into that person's house for the AC because it's harder than hell. So
yeah, it's a quick joke, but it's really funny, really placed and really funny. Yeah. I love the smartness of it all. But another one is that so somehow we know that God is not there. Something's happened. So
right. And then, of course, you also have Beth. But like you said, Bethany is also having problems with her faith.
Yeah,
that's also another thing.
We skipped a little bit past because I want to talk about the great Alan Rickman, man, and that opening scene with him.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, it's one of the great. It's another one of the great scenes in this movie with Alan Rickman, man. Just Alan Rickman, just being able to have some fun with some dialogue and just be him is so great. He's just so great in this scene. He's like, hence when he's spitting the shots back into to the thing, and he's telling the whole story why they can't drink, and because of Bartleby and Loki, and just it's so right. Alan Rickman being Alan Rickman is just so great. Yes.
He's supposed to be the voice of God, and then of course he's up in Bethany's apartment, and of course Bethany is actually.
And what is his name? Metatron,
which is basically making fun of Megatron.
Yeah, it's so good.
And Bethany is actually a woman who actually works for an abortion clinic for pro-choice, and she's having trouble with her faith. And then, of course, that's when she winds up going to bed one night, and then all of a sudden she hears the voice of God, which is Metatron, which is played by none other than Alan Rickman. Then, of course, I like how her room goes up in flames, and then she goes, "Who the fuck are you?" He goes, "Oh, the flames didn't do enough for you. Was that not enough? Was that not an indication of who I am?"
Yeah,
which I thought was hilarious. And then she goes, "Well,
I just like that she had the head, like the wherewithal fire extinguisher. Like I would have been freaking out. I don't know.
Oh yeah,
I had one like that. I don't know if I would have just been able to grab one. I would have been like, "What is going on right now? Am I asleep? Am I awake?" Oh man.
Exactly, because if I saw like my room burning and I'm hearing this voice, I wouldn't know what to do. Yeah. To the point where I'm like, because it's like, do I go ahead and try and put this out? What's the deal? What do I do? And then you also have this other part where, she goes, "Don't rape me." She goes, "Look, how am I going to rape you?" He lifts up, he unzips his pants. He goes, "I don't have a penis. I cannot rape you, even if I tried."
What is the line? I'm anatomically correct as a Ken doll.
Yeah. You know what would be funnier though if he actually said he was anatomically incorrect instead of correct.
Yeah. Just Alan Rickman, man. I mean, he's just so great. So yeah, watching him just have fun with some dialogue is great, man. Because it's so silly, obviously. Just the way the story he's telling and the way he's telling it. Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. But I also like the part where Alan winds up taking her to this Mexican restaurant. They actually basically just transport themselves over into the Mexican restaurant and just, "Oh, I'm in Mexico?" No, actually, you're in the Mexican restaurant across a couple blocks from your house. I'm not that powerful. And then I like how he's, like you said, with the bottle, spitting it back into the bottle and stuff like that because he can't drink. And then you also have that. There's actually a blooper in this movie though too, in this scene, where basically when she's so basically is this: whenever she's in her pajamas, you can definitely tell that her shirt's unbuttoned a little bit, and then it goes into another in that same scene. You see the camera go again, and it's buttoned.
Okay.
So there's a little small blooper with the wardrobe and everything that I thought that was actually.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. I didn't catch it though. Yeah, I didn't catch it. I'd have to go back.
But then of course he winds up telling her, "Hey, look, you need to stop these angels. There's going to be 2 prophets that you're going to meet up with. That's going to help you." And so she's like, "Okay, yeah, this is all just BS anyway." So and then of course the next day, the next night, she winds up getting jumped by those hoodlums who are actually hockey players. And then that's when she meets up with Jay and Silent Bob.
Yes.
And
he doesn't actually say prophet. This one I was a little, going back and watching it again, when he says profit, he's talking about profit, like making profit and money. I
Right.
thought I thought there was going to be like an actual profit reference, like I'm a prophet, I know what's going to happen, or something like that. I didn't remember that connection, and when it happened, I was like, oh, that's a little weird. Okay, I thought he would have been a little more clever with that line, just the way
I think that it is clever in a sense because I don't think he's using it as in a biblical sense as to a prophet, but he's actually thinking of profit like in modern day money. So you have two people who make profit who happens to be prophets. So,
Okay,
so that's what I'm thinking of whenever he's actually using that joke.
I can see that. Okay, for sure.
So in her sense, though, she's using it in the biblical sense of these two idiots are going to be my prophets. And then Jay and them are over there saying profits. And then they have like $100 bills. They're making money off of weed and selling drugs and stuff. So that's the sense that I got with the profit and profits.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Again, like I said, I just didn't remember what the line that connected that to her was, and then when it happened again, and because I hadn't seen the movie in so long, it was just like, oh, okay. I was like, oh, that was a little weird, but that does make sense for sure. I was just thinking that's something Jay would say. Jay would absolutely say he's a prophet or something like that. That's why I thought it would be a good line. Like,
it's like, yeah, you lady, yeah, yo, I'm a prophet, yo.
Yeah, it's absolutely something he would say. So,
then, but I like how Jay and them beat up these hoodlums, and then basically they go running off, and then Kevin Smith does this horror element kind of vibe to it that I really liked. Was you can definitely tell the houses were kind of fake, like the street was kind of fake, and then the hockey, the hoodlum hockey player takes his hockey stick and just rips the paper to make it look like he's going into another scene, which has that horror element, kind of Nightmare on Elm Street kind of vibe to it. That I was like, ooh, this is actually very frightening in a sense.
Yeah, it's a cool scene. Yeah, definitely, because they're like like you said, opening up a hole in time, so in space and time, really. So yeah, it's because I was thinking about it too, and I was like, and it goes back together, man. It's such a cool effect for back then for them to pull that off.
For the effects to be in 1999, they still hold up.
I agree.
In my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I think that scene there, especially, was really seamless. It was really well, for sure. But I mean, most of the effects that are like really that would be really hard. Like we'll get to it, but the monster that's practical to an extent.
Yeah, you're talking about the turd monster, or
yeah. I mean, there's not a lot of special effects in this, but yeah, I mean, I think he did pretty damn well for the time, for sure. It holds up.
It definitely does hold up. And another part that I really thought that was actually funny, where it's just a quote that I thought that was funny. Somebody sold their soul to Satan to get the grosses up on the piece of shit serendipity.
Yeah, she was 18 of the 19.
Right.
Home Alone was the other one. I had no part in that. I wonder I don't know what that joke is. Is that a Macaulay Culkin joke?
I think so.
I actually don't know what that connection. Okay, I was going to say, because that sounds like something he would do. Like just be like, yeah, I'm going to mess with Macaulay Culkin a little bit. It sounds like
because he was still a pop icon in a sense in the 90s as well. So
sure. Oh yeah. I always wanted to see that. I always wanted to see that they were going to do the High Alone.
Oh yeah.
With him in it. I wanted to see that so bad. I thought that would have been hilarious.
Then you also have this other funny scene that I liked was like the next day, because Jay winds up burning the transmission out of her car. He goes, "What gear are you in? Gear?"
Oh my god!
And then my favorite line that he says, "What makes you think this bitch knows how to drive?"
Because you asked to drive. That's why.
And he sort of tries to put the blame on Bethany when But then there's the scene in the.
He's really great at writing for Jay. He's really great at writing for Jay. I think
He definitely is. I mean, this character reminds me of my friend Stormy, who was a stoner back in high school, and he fits the narrative of Jay's to a T.
Yeah.
But,
I had a friend too, just like that.
But the thing that I thought was funny, though, the next day, they're walking down the thing, they're arguing and bickering amongst each other, and then Jay goes, "Naked men just don't fall out of the sky every day." And then all of a sudden, a naked man does fall out of the sky.
Oh,
and he goes, "Big titty women just don't fall on the sky." Then,
oh man.
And then it happens to be Chris Rock, which I thought was hilarious because I never knew that Chris Rock and Kevin Smith were even friends. So that makes it even more comical.
Yeah. No, it's a great cameo. It's a great cameo. And he's got some of the best lines, man. He's got some of the funniest lines. Like, oh man, just the talking when they're all sitting around at movies eating the chicken, man, and he tells Jay, he's like, "You think about men when you masturbate."
Yeah, he goes, "You masturbate more than anybody else on this planet." He goes, "Well, hell, man, that's everybody knows that." Because when you do it, you think of men, and then you see
the joke comes back when they're in the strip club, and he's like, "I'm here trying to prove I'm not gay," and she's like, "What?" And he's like, "It's a long story."
And then there's also another thing that comes into the profit part where you see them paying for the stripper, and there's this beef war between this gang and Jay and Silent Bob, and he's like, and I like how they're using the Michael Jackson song in the background.
I don't know how he got that.
I don't know either, because this is actually the second movie that I know of that he used a Michael Jackson 5 song for one of his movies. He did it for Clerks 2, and he did it for this one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because he used ABC for Clerks 2, and then this one.
Yeah, I don't know how he got rights to that, because that just doesn't seem right. That he would let that happen.
I would like to know what the conversation was like with Michael Jackson at that time. Because, Michael Jackson was like hypersensitive about who he lets use his music.
Yeah,
and who
absolutely.
But I'm guessing because of the fact you're not making fun of Michael and you're using it in a strip club, it's fine. But if you're using it to make fun of him, Eminem, then I could actually see a problem.
Sure. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah.
But the way they do this with the beat, the way they do the music with the beat with the money makes me laugh. And then they're doing
yeah. Oh, and Selma Hayek's great too. Just going back and forth. Yeah.
And you would think that she wouldn't fit into this film at all, but she fits into this film fantastic.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, she's not just a cameo for no reason. She really does fit, and he writes her in where, like you said, she does fit throughout the whole movie because she comes back later. So,
yeah. And of course, she plays Serendipity, which is serendipitous, which I thought was actually pretty cool. That each person that was a mythological kind of person is actually having their own character being presented in that mythology. So I thought that was actually pretty cool.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. No, again, the meta jokes are really great. The meta jokes are really, really, really good. Yeah, I agree.
And then you also have this other thing that's being played out too. While this is going on, you actually have Loki and Barnaby, and basically they're in the airport. And my favorite line that Matt Damon says to him is like, "Here, take this, so the way it doesn't look like we broke up in the airport."
Man, yeah, them two. Every scene they're in is great. I think those two really do. I mean, obviously we know who they are now, but they steal that movie, man. I mean, they really steal that movie.
The dynamic between Matt Damon and him is fantastic. Don't get me wrong. We saw that in that one Matt Damon movie before that, which was with Robin Williams. He played
Good Will Hunting.
Goodwill
Yeah.
Hunting, but we didn't get to see the the chemistry between the two of them until this film.
Yeah. No, they're definitely the show stealers of the movie, easily.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And especially the part where they go up inside this business office and movies, which is also, like you said, you believe that. Go on ahead and tell everybody what you thought that they were making fun of, and then I'll talk about some of my favorite lines from that.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I immediately thought of Disney. I mean, I think it's just a commentary on big business in general at that time and those type of businesses at that time. But it's definitely a shot at Disney. I mean, they talk about the bi-coastal theme parks and all that stuff. Yeah, I mean the shows, the spinoffs, all that crap. Yeah, I mean it's it's all there. So that's immediately what I think of though when with the lines, at least the specific things he mentions of
Right.
what their crimes are.
And I like how they go through each one of their sins. It's like, oh, well, you, and then he can't say this one out loud because of the fact that it's so vile. Because the thing is like, oh, you are the shitbag of all shitbags.
Yeah, yeah.
How
Even
could
Matt Damon says it, and he just that line, you know what he said, which is that's your son. Like,
Yeah.
like,
How
you
could
know what
you
he
do
said.
that?
Yeah,
That was
Yeah.
your son. And then next thing you know it, they cap everybody. Everybody's dead all except this one woman. And then Loki looks at her, goes, well, congratulations. You are the survivor. You have not done anything wrong. And then he's like, but you did not say God bless you when I
God bless you.
sneezed.
Oh man. And he's like,
I love
Loki, get
it.
out of here. He's like, no. He's like, you're getting off easy. One of my
And I
other
was like, what the hell is going on? Like, I just witnessed
man.
all my colleagues dying because of things that they've done. And he's telling
You
me
can't
that.
believe you're going to be the actual one that survives. You can't actually believe you're the one that's going to survive.
Right.
You have to think you're dead too. So you're just like, shit.
But yeah, the stuff that they
and
do.
The voodoo doll scene too is so funny.
Yeah, talk about that real quick.
Just the way, because he shows them the voodoo doll first. Then they have the whole Matt Damon speech, or Ben Affleck speech, which puts the fear of God literally into all of them, for pun intended, I guess. But then he goes back, and at this point they are so scared they're willing to believe that really, like, this dude is really willing to believe that he's going to die if he squishes this voodoo doll. So it's just so funny that it's set up, and then they come back to it at the perfect time when it makes sense to do it. Because if he tries that before the speech, it doesn't work. Do you know what I mean? So it's just, I love the joke of the coming back to it, and that guy just being like, oh like, oh crap, am I dead? Am I dead? Because at this point, this dude has no idea what's about to happen. Like, he has no idea. So, you know, these two guys are in there telling them everything that they've ever done, and they're all just like, wait, which one of y'all said something to these people? Who ratted us out?
This is just classic writing from Kevin Smith and directing from Kevin Smith.
And again, could go completely silly. And it is, but could go completely silly where it's not even, you're just like, all right, what is the point of this? But because it's them too, man. Because it's them too.
Another thing that Bethany asked Metatron, though, too, that I like was, what's he like? God? Lonely, but funny. He's got a great sense of humor. Take sex, for example. There's nothing funnier than the ridiculous faces you people make.
Sex is a joke in heaven? Well, I hear it's a joke down here, too. Man. Again, Rickman being Rickman, man. Just the way he can deliver a line like that is so funny. So funny.
And you would think that Alan Rickman wouldn't fit into this either because of how his dial tone is and how he's, how slowly he speaks, because if he's always going to be Snape in my eyes, and Nottingham as well.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. And Hans Gruber.
Hans is iconic. How could I ever forget?
Yeah.
You would think
But
that he
no,
wouldn't fit into
I
it.
think I think it really shows that he's just having fun, man. He really is just having fun with the dialogue and just kind of trying stuff. Like, I'm gonna do it this way, see if it works. Like, just I'm gonna have some fun with it, and that's perfect for a Kevin Smith movie because he's probably like, sure, like go ahead, try it, whatever you want to do, man. I don't care.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
So let's see here. Now we actually have a target. Bethany is attacked by the triplets who
Mhm.
are driven by the two powerful prophets, drug dealing stoners. Okay, that's what we talked about. And then on a train to New Jersey, a drunken Bethany
Yeah.
reveals her mission to Barnaby, who tries to kill her. And this scene makes me laugh though, because ironically, it's Loki and Barnaby on the same train because of the fact that their plane was delayed, so therefore they had to find another way of transportation, and
Yeah.
that's how they wind up meeting up with her. But before we get over to that, though, we also have that other thing where we actually have Selma Hayek and them facing up against shit demons, and then we also have the thing with Azariel too, where basically he's saying, "Look, you guys need to go in and keep a low profile. If you guys fly around and everything, is going to cause different things to happen. You guys need to keep a low profile." And then you also have this other thing too, where you wind up seeing the golf club being swung at Azrael, though this is also being taking place at the bar as well.
Yep. Yeah, the golf club is because it was he blessed his clubs to have a better golf game.
He goes, "What are you?" And Jason Lee is
God.
fantastic in this. He's like, "I'm a demon. You cannot kill me."
Yeah.
Then he winds up cracking the dude's.
Jason Lee is great.
Plays this demon fantastic. Basically, if you think about a demon like this, he's basically the person who checks out the architect work with everybody, like a union worker in a sense, where he checks and makes sure that everything is going according to plan. That's the way I got his character.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. No, he plays it so great because Jason Lee, I've always said, is really good at overacting, but not making you notice that he's overacting while he's doing it. It feels normal. It feels just like a person being silly. I'm probably saying it wrong, but do you know what I mean?
You're right. It's like he's just being himself versus, just like very over the top, the way he would actually talk to somebody versus just acting in a movie, basically.
Right.
Where he just
but
loses himself
almost
within
playing
the
like a mustache twirling type person, but it's not silly. Do you know? It's not quite like
it's like
feels
settled.
normal. Yeah. Yeah, it's so weird how he can play those type of people. He's really good at it. He's very, very good at it. Yeah.
Then, like I said, then you also have that part where the club winds up cracking his chest open, black blood winds up spilling out, and then he winds up dying. And that scene was also another thing that I'd actually thought of instantly. Was that scene was actually very horrific and very gory, kind of Nightmare on Elm Street, Wes Craven kind of vibe to it as well.
Sure.
Also, the Thing. It also had a little bit of a Thing kind of vibe to it, though, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
From Carpenter.
Man. Yeah, absolutely, man. It's definitely a creepy scene, and talk about the fact that she is the spawn of Jesus's brothers and sisters. So she has the ability to bless the water and make it holy water so they can kill the three little demon dudes. but the fact that Serendipity knew about the golf club is really great, and that she's just like, yeah, dude, go ahead, you got it, you can hit him with it, he's gonna die. And he's so like you said, he's just like, yeah, go ahead, do it, whatever you got, hit me with it, I don't care. He has no idea.
Then all of a sudden he dies because he blessed the clubs, and then after that happens, they wind up killing the basically Satan's helpers, which is those three hockey players. And then after that winds up happening, you wind up having the shit demons, and that was something that I was not expecting.
Mm-mm.
at all.
No, not at all. That is not something I saw coming. No, I don't think anybody could have. Yes,
Hey,
I
Joseph.
agree. I
But yeah,
agree, sir.
but yeah, the shit demons happen. Then after that, they wind up killing them. Then we wind up getting them on the. Then of course, this whole entire train thing happens, and you know when we see that being played out, and like then you have a little bit of a suspense kind of thriller kind of things. Like what's going to be revealed now? Now that Bethany and them are actually crossing each other's paths,
Yep.
and and then Matt Damon's like, yeah, me and Loki, we've been together forever over the years, and just, oh, that's so nice. You guys have been in the army together. It's nice that you got rid of that whole entire political BS that they have in the army. He goes, what are you talking about? We haven't been stationed or anything. We're just very good friends. We're good roommates. Oh, okay. Next thing you know, you find out that they're going in there to try and go into the church, and they're trying to keep them out. And then you have this whole thing where Jay winds up throwing them out of the train.
Yeah.
My first instinct was this: they could just fly back over into the cart.
Yeah. Right. No. Well, and those type of trains, don't they usually have those things like that cover the outside up so you can walk through freely?
Yeah, they have that too. So,
yeah.
but no, they just decide to go.
Hey, it's Kevin Smith, man. Like he's gonna just go with the silliness. He's gonna go for the silliness. So I'm not mad at it at all. But you're right, it is funny because it's just like, wait a minute, this would he would just be laying there.
Like, right, and because then they just go over to the next scene where they're like, oh, okay, so now we're gonna go over to where the church is and beat them to it. Yeah. And then you also have, of course, that whole entire deal where everything's going to hell in a handbasket because of things that are happening. And then you actually have it to where now Loki does not want to cause mischief. Now it's Barnaby who snaps.
Mm-hmm.
And George Carlin's out there trying to do this whole entire ceremony. And I like the confrontation between Carlin and him. I thought that was actually a pretty funny thing. I'll let you go on and talk about that.
Oh, yeah. No, he's not taking any crap from him at that moment. not from Carlin at all. He snapped at this point. I think I mean, even Loki says it. He's like, he's up there. I don't know what the hell he's doing. I've already cut my wings. Like, I've already given in. He's up there doing his thing. Like, I just want to just get back. Like, I just want to get back. I don't care about anything else. So, again, but Affleck is giving it in this movie. He's not holding back. Like, he's not just phoning it in. He's really trying. That scene when he starts floating down in front of the church, he's just like, he literally is trying to look like Jesus. He's like this, and he's having so much fun.
Like he's an apoptic angel who's going to give out a message of God.
And at that time, his ego had to be like that. Like, he really was probably like that at that time. So it's hilarious to see him like that. And I like that Kevin Smith is able to take those punches at him and he can have fun with it. The fact that he can take the joke. Yeah. I mean, he's probably actually a cool dude.
I think so too. I mean, it just shows you the level that Ben Affleck can actually play whenever he is given the right type of role and giving him the freedom to do whatever he wants to do. And that's exactly what Kevin did. I could just see him, look, man, I love what you're doing, but you're kind of going over to the dark side a little bit with this. You're not the angel Barnaby. And then I could just see him getting into the match. What the F do you mean that I'm not the angel? But yeah. I definitely like that. And then, of course, you wind up seeing Jay, and then you see them go over to see this destruction happening. And then the first thing that instantly that Jay decides to do is to get Bethany out of the way, so that way Silent Bob and Serendipity could go on ahead and do it. But remember at the very beginning, he goes, okay, so will you fuck me if the world is coming to an end? And there were the only two people alive. He goes, yes, I promise. Okay. Then next thing you know it, Jay just has his own intentions. He's trying to protect her.
Yep.
And he goes,
5 minutes left. That's what he said.
Right, just look. Bethany's look on her face. The look on Bethany's face is like, what the hell are you doing? And that's what she ends up saying. He goes, well, you said that if it was the end of the world, you would fuck me. Guess what? We have 5 minutes left. It's time to get fucked. Is basically what he's saying. And he's getting out the condom. He's got everything ready.
Dude. And as childish as we know that he is as a person, he really believes like that's a verbal contract. Like you have to do it now. Like there's no getting out of it at this point. You can't just say no, it was a joke. He doesn't understand that. He has no idea.
And the bad thing is, that's my friend Stormy, though. My friend Stormy was like that, too. Like, I know I talked about him a couple of times on my podcast, but okay, I'm just going to give you a story of him and how he sounds, and tell me if this does not sound like Jay, okay?
Okay.
He's like, bro, I went to Barnes & Noble, and I had a Kama Sutra book, and I had this girl with me that I was going to bang, and bro, let me just tell you, there's just no way. There's just no way that you can actually flex her legs over her head like that, bro. I'm just telling you. Just telling you, man. There's just no fucking way. And of course, I was like, Stormy, of course you ended up doing something. Of course. What the fuck do you think? I'm like, so.
That's so great. That is so great.
That's him to a T.
That's awesome.
So, but yeah. So then we wound up having this one part where Tom Domingo, definitely Tom.
Absolutely.
But then we also have it where he actually makes sense, though. He says, well, if you go in here and plug this one person's machine, guess what? It destroys the whole entire deal where they won't destroy the world. So she's like, what did you just say? And then he doesn't even know what he's saying, and he winds up. He's like, "What did I say?"
Yeah. Well, and I like that they're playing with that whole. Well, there's two things they're playing with. So one is that, if God is incorrect for some reason, then time will end because he's infallible. So he's playing with that whole, part of Christianity and Catholicism. But then he's also playing with the fact that, which this one's weird for me. So I actually have a question about it. Or not a question, but just kind of a comment on it. So if God takes human form and then goes and plays skee ball every weekend, which I'm sorry, little unfair. All right. I mean, I'm glad I get tickets to the little kids in the neighborhood. That's awesome. I have no issue with that. But a little unfair, God. Come on. You can't be the best at everything. Anyway, no. Anyway. But how I don't understand though, if he does go into a coma, he is still God though. He can still just like get himself out, or she can get herself out of
not unless they're doing it this way, where basically this is going into biblical stuff. But basically, sure. But okay, so God gave his own truly forgotten son to go die on the cross, which means he could have got off the cross at any time he wanted to, but he didn't. He chose to sacrifice himself. So in a sense, though, this is also in that kind of same aspect, except for one thing. God is actually hooked up in a coma, and he could get himself out of it, but he chooses not to because he knows that if he winds up getting himself out of it, he may not be able to sacrifice himself to be able to save everybody again. Okay. What do you think?
No, I'll go with it. Yeah, like I said, it was just weird to me. I was just like, well, why don't you just, because even Metatron says, well, he could stop it, but he's not here. Like that's why I had to get her. Like I didn't want to get her, but I had to get her. Basically, what he told her, it's like I didn't want to get her, but I had to. I didn't know what else to do. He was gone.
Playing skateball.
Yeah, it's like there's God and then there's her. I don't know. There's no in between anymore.
Oh my God. So then after that winds up happening, she tells Jay to distract Barnaby. And that's like the last person that you want distracting anybody. He goes on ahead, gets an Uzi, clips off Ben Affleck's wings, causes him to be like a fallen angel to where he's actually a human form, which is exactly what he wanted. Even Serendipitous is like, what the hell did you just do? You just basically gave him what he wanted. And my first initial thought whenever that happened was like, you do know that you could probably stab him just like the way you stabbed Matt Damon's character, and make him into human form now, which is also beneficial for you guys too, even though you gave him what he wanted. So therefore he doesn't have that superhuman strength, so therefore he's easier to actually be stopped. So that was my first initial thought.
Sure. Oh, of course. Yeah, like why don't you just shoot him now?
Right, just shoot him in the head. But then again, he ran out of bullets, chopping off all the wings.
Well,
so there goes that.
That is true. Yes. Convenient. The convenient movie things that happen.
And of course, this is also another thing that winds up happening where all appears lost. Jay attempts to seduce. Okay, we also talked about that. That was my notes. Bethany finally puts all the clues together. She and Bob race across the street to the hospital as they're trying to keep Bethany from entering the church. But in doing so, Jay destroys his wings. We talked about that, making him mortal as well. Bethany disconnects John's life support, liberating God by killing herself. Bethany bodily reaches the church entrance where he confronts God manifested in female form, who alienates him with her voice. Bob arrives with Bethany's lifeless body. God resurrects her and conveys a child, the new last psychon within her womb. God, Marathon, Rufus, and Serendipity return to heaven, leaving Bethany and the prophets to reflect on the past and the future.
Yeah.
So a lot happened there, but
yeah.
The thing that I thought that was actually funny was the fact. Okay, so in biblical terms, it says that his words is basically will kill you instantly, and that's exactly what would happen with Barnaby's and everything too, where basically his own voice killed him, and that's why he was dead. And then, of course, you wind up having the resurrection of Bethany, who winds up living. And then I like how she said, well, you can't talk to me like that. Because he goes, when are me and this bitch going to fuck? So then he's like, you cannot talk to me that way anymore. Why? Because you got a child now to raise. He's like, what?
Dude, not even that. When he walks up to her, to God, when Jay walks up to God and just starts cussing around, and Metatron's like, dude, chill out and just look into her eyes. And he's like, no, what the hell is going on here? Who the hell is this bitch? And what the it's so hard at that part because he's so stupid.
He's like, who the F is this? Bethany is dead. Everything's gone to hell. And I'm supposed to look in her eyes? How am I supposed to look in her eyes when she's dead? And he's just putting on a rant.
Yes. Oh my God. And Alanis Morissette is great. She plays this part really, the way she plays it so playful and kiddie when she's like in the background, just like doing like handstands on the tree and stuff. I'm just like, what the hell is she doing back there?
It looks like a hippie. She looks like that's exactly what they're going.
It actually
it does.
It's so funny. It works. It's like, yeah, that makes sense. That's
But all in all, I think that this film is really, I have to say, nostalgically, it does not measure up nostalgically for me because of the fact that I was 11 years old being introduced to this film by my grandmother, who happens to be Catholic, which is I thought was hilarious. But
that's funny.
Yeah. I told my friends this story all the time. He goes, wait, your grandmother was Catholic. She introduced you to this film at age 11? I said, I guess I was a very mature 11-year-old to think that I could actually handle a movie like this.
Oh, man. Yeah.
So.
That's funny.
But as far as a fresh take on this, I think it still measures up. I still think that you can still get the laughs that you need out of this. I think this is also a film that was ahead of its time in a sense, though, too. Because this is actually during the time where people were still actively going to church. And then, of course, now you see a falling away of it. And then that's also being reflected into this film. Every single time I see the part where you actually have the priest preaching, and then you have these kids with headphones on, misbehaving and stuff like that. I don't know why. It always makes me, whenever I hear someone say, oh, there's a falling away, I automatically think of that scene. with the headphones on.
Okay.
I do not know
Okay.
why. Every single
I
time.
I
But
would be interested to see a sequel to this now from him, just to see where his head is now in this same just with this topic now.
especially whenever he had the heart attack.
Sure. Sure.
That's what I would like to see.
Yeah. I think it would be interesting if he revisited this actually now.
I think this, since I think he's done with Clerks, I think this would be a perfect one for him to revisit.
Yeah, I think Mallrats was one he was trying to do a sequel to too at some point.
Yeah. He talked about
So
doing a Mallrats sequel, and then from rumors I heard, he was going to do a TV series, and then he decided not to do a TV series, and then it turned into a movie again. So I think he's flip-flopping back and forth on deciding on what he wants to do as far as the direction goes.
yeah.
But I would love to see them do this one.
Oh, I would definitely like the sequel to this. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I think there's a lot of meat there that he can actually grind out, especially when he was young and then he had the heart attack now that he's older, and seeing self-reflection off of him on what he thinks, not only spiritually, but also on a realm of as a director who's still doing some self-reflection and self-evaluation on his own self. So that's something I would like to think.
Yeah. Oh, it would be fun. Like I said, I think definitely now where he is now too in life, it would be fun to just see him retackle this topic. Yeah, for sure.
And I would like to see Jay and them being a prophet again, just to.
Oh yeah. Oh, it has to be. Yeah, it would have to be. Yeah.
But not with the same actress. I would like to see another person, and
we
then
could
like
do the baby. We could, because then now that's the last Scion.
right.
So, yeah, so that could be the new. Yeah,
It'll be funny if it's like
Harley. It'll be Harley.
Just for shits and giggles, I would like to see it be like Keanu and just.
Oh my god! If he did, yeah, holy crap, he did that.
Since he is the one from the Matrix, so he would be like the one for Dogma 2. This is like, awesome. Even though the timeline doesn't match up, but it would just be. But then again, right, it'll be hilarious.
Absolutely, that would be hilarious for sure. It would probably be Harley though.
Yeah.
Harley,
without a doubt.
Yeah, more than likely. If he did it now, I don't know. Maybe not. I think though we'll probably get the conclusion of the Jay and Silent Bob trilogy before that.
True.
Just because I think he's going to want to make that a trilogy now, because Reboot was actually pretty well received, at least by the fans.
Okay.
So,
well, that's everything as far as Dogma goes that I had wanted to talk about. What about you?
Yeah, man, I think we touched on pretty much everything, man. I just love this movie, man. I really love this movie a lot. So I'm really glad you invited me on to do this one again, man, because it was really fun going back and watching this movie.
Well, I think you had a good time watching this, because I did.
Well, it was great because I really didn't remember a lot of the jokes. I remembered the bigger stuff, but some of the smaller stuff, and just getting to kind of rehear it again for the first time almost was really fun. So.
Same here. It was like a first time watch after so many years, and I forgot some of the jokes. I just remember the shooting and then the God bless you quote and things like that.
Sure.
And some other stuff, but still, I really enjoy this one. But I'm hoping next week I'll be able to do a Mallrats review coming up next week, probably on a Thursday for that one, because I know Wednesdays we have our Last of Us review.
Right. Yep.
Speaking of Last of Us, you actually have that for your solo one that you do on Multiverse of Geekdom. You have episode 2 up, right?
Quick spoiler one. Yeah. Yeah. Dude, it's a good one. I can't wait to talk about it with everybody Wednesday for sure.
Me either. That's going to be really great. But next week, I'm going to have like 2 short film reviews that are nominated for the Oscars or shortlisted for the Oscars. Then this week, of course, you're going to be on for Friday with Frenchie.
Yes, right. That's going to be another fun one. I was really excited when that's fun.
All right. Well, that's everything here at Movie Lovers Unite. Thank you so much, Joseph. If there's anything that you wanted to talk about as far as some of your favorite scenes, go on ahead and shoot it into the comment section real quick as well, because, I would like to know what some of your favorite scenes are. If not, we're going to go on ahead and close up shop and everything and call it a night. But thank you again, Don. This has always been fun for us to be able to team up and do things together.
Oh, I agree. I think we always have a good time, man, talking about this.
Definitely.
Stuff. It's easy, man. It's easy to talk about this stuff. It's so much
Definitely.
fun. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's going to be it for tonight's show. If you guys want to go back on the replay, check it out. Tell us what you think of it. What are your favorite scenes? Don't forget to smash that like button. Don't forget to smash the subscribe button. I will be back again for tomorrow. Oh, hold on. We actually have.
Oh, what we got?
Oh, anything with Buddy Christ, the strip club scene, Rufus, and the bedroom scene. Yep.
Yeah,
I definitely agree with you.
I agree, man. Absolutely.
But yeah, go on ahead, watch this on replay. I think that you guys are going to laugh your asses off on this review because I know we did. We had a good time reviewing it. And tomorrow night, I think I have something going on tomorrow night. I don't remember the exact schedule. I need to actually write that stuff down. But anyway, stay tuned. To be announced. And always until next time, guys. Bye-bye.